Have you ever thought of a day where there are only 2 females left in the world? How do you think it is possible to save a species from extinction if it happens? Rhinos, just like any other animals, have 2 primary missions. That is, to eat plants and reproduce. Without having many predators in the way, they can actually flourish for millions of years. Unfortunately, humans find a way to lessen their number by hunting them down and abolishing their habitat. Welcome to Animals Wow TV. Let's get started. Have you ever seen an elite animal with security sticking around 24/7? It was around 50 years ago that poachers started hunting down thousands of rhinos across the African country in order to get its horns to make a fortune out of it. Particularly among all the rhino species that existed, one specific kind is doing worse than all the others: the northern white rhinos. Due to hunting activities of mankind, together with civil wars and habitat loss, the northern white rhino population has lessened throughout the years. Even in 2008, the IUCN officially declared the northern white rhino to be extinct in the wild. Due to this concern, conservationists began to develop ways of preventing the extinction of the northern white rhinos by beginning to breed them in captivity, which actually happened in the 1970s. The process involved collecting and storing semen from different male rhinos. However, there were only a few rhinos that were ever born through this breeding program. 2 female rhinos to be specific. The 2 remaining white rhinos, which are actually females, were Najin and her daughter, Fatu. Both of these rhinos are very famous as elite animals in the wild. You want to know why? This animal is not the typical animal you're thinking of, because this rhino has its own bodyguards. Sadly, neither of these 2 females have a calf. As a matter of fact, Najin's hind legs are too weak, while Fatu was also diagnosed to have a degenerated uterine lining. But worse becomes worst. Sudan, the last male northern white rhino, unfortunately died in 2018. With these situations in mind, it also means that there are no living males left and no females are able to carry out pregnancy. Thus, the northern white rhino species to be deemed functionally extinct is arriving fast. Will there still be a way to save their species even if there are only 2 females left? Well, it seems that there's still a spark of hope. This is through artificial reproduction. Seems like technology saves the day. If you want to look up for answers, go to technology. Though Hermione, on the other hand, prefers to go to the library. But getting aside, how does this process really work? Fortunately, one particular group of experts called biorescue has devised a plan to bring the species back from extinction. Professor Thomas Hildebrandt from the Leibniz Institute for Zoo and Wildlife Research is the leader of the said international biorescue project. With their artificial reproduction in mind, it also seems to be the final drop of hope that we have to save the northern white rhinos from completely diminishing. To explain the process in a much simpler state, Professor Thomas Hildebrandt and his team are doing what seems to be impossible, and this is by creating viable embryos in their laboratory. Beginning with the extraction of immature eggs, scientists will insert a 2-meter-long device into the female rhino in order to collect the immature egg cells. The 2 female rhinos, Fatu and Najin, are kept underground 24 hours a day in order to make sure of their safety, given that there are only 2 northern white rhinos left in the world. Professor Hildebrandt discussed in one of his interviews, "Our patient is nearly 2 tons. That means the ovaries are quite far inside the body of this rhino. We had to develop a totally new approach. It is a device which is inserted into the rectum. Then we go about 2 meters through the rectum and find the ovaries, which are deep inside the abdominal cavity. Then we have to use a needle which is bent about 80 degrees, so we actually shoot around the corner to aspirate the follicles. Furthermore, as part of the biorescue consortium, the reproduction laboratory, Avantea, has perfected the technique for producing the viable embryos from the egg cells that will be collected from the rhinos. Let's take a much closer look at the process. On August 22, 2019, Najin and Fatu's eggs were extracted and flown to the lab. After 3 days, the collected eggs were fertilized using the preserved sperm from male northern white rhinos. Another week later, 2 of the eggs had successfully made it to the stage of development. In this phase, the embryo will be frozen and preserved for future use. From 2019 until the following year, from 2019 until the following year, 2020, 3 more embryos were fortunately created. This gives a great hope for the northern white rhino species to be saved from extinction. As of the moment, a total of 5 pure northern white rhino embryos in the world are taken care of. To make sure of its safety, they are then stored in liquid nitrogen. Professor Hildebrand explained the importance of storing the embryo to ensure its long-term safety. To freeze an embryo for a long time, you have to stop any life functions. You have to freeze it instantly to a level that has no metabolic activity and no enzyme is active. And that means minus 196 degrees Celsius. They can then store liquid nitrogen for more than 100 years, he explained. Once these embryos are stored, the next procedure to conduct will be to look for compatible surrogate mothers. Historically, northern and southern white rhinos diverged about 1 million years ago into separate, though still closely related species. In terms of differences, these species live in different habitats in different regions, and also possess marginally physical traits. But if there's one thing similar for the both of them, that is that they have the same length of pregnancy. Because of this similarity, researchers positively hope that a southern white rhino can carry a northern white rhino embryo to term. And the biorescue team also aims to be able to record its first northern white rhino calf the soonest as possible. According to Professor Hildebrand, their team internally discussed what the early start could possibly be at the end of this year. He also said they want to produce a calf as soon as possible, so the social knowledge or the experience Najin and Fatu have can be transferred and be taught. Moreover, the scientists also think they can collect Fatu's eggs for the next 5 years. However, uncertainty is evident in Najin's case. This is because the said white rhino is already 32 and also suffered from a tumor. Definitely, it's a race against time. The goal is actually to repair some of the severe mistakes the human population has made a few decades ago by causing the extinction of this charismatic, 2 tons heavy animal, which was the dominant species in this swamp area in Central Africa. The rhino did not fail in evolution. It is not a process that a species gets extinct because it isn't adapted to the environment and factors anymore. It is just not bulletproof because people shot it. We have the responsibility as scientists to fix some of these severe mistakes. I think it is really important that science can be used to make our planet better for the next generation, Professor Hildebrand concluded. Alright, what do you think about the situation of these 2 remaining female rhinos that we have here left in the world? How do you think they will be to survive and reproduce? And if you were in this situation, how would you feel about having bodyguards around you following you 24/7? Much like royalty, huh? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Also, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to our channel. And while you're here, check out our other videos.